Alright, welcome back to the poker vlog. This is the first episode of 2021. We're done with the year that shall not be named. For this one, we're playing 5-10 at Bellagio. Get into a ton of huge hands. I think you guys are gonna love it. Let's go ahead and get started. This vlog is gonna start out a little differently because I wake up from a dead sleep in the middle of the night, glance at this screen and realize Bellagio is full of action. I'm too excited to go back to bed. I wanna try and capitalize on it. Let's go. It is 1:30 in the morning. I checked Bravo and there are 3 5-10 games going, 2 10-20 games. One of them's probably good. Might hop into the 10-20 if that looks decent. Usually there's only one running, so this is kind of a rare thing. Could be exciting for the vlog. It's been a long time since I've started a session at this hour. Typically the games are better later on because some people could be playing after having a bit too much to drink, or maybe they're tired or stuck, or perhaps all three things are true, trifecta. I arrive at Bellagio and I'm completely pumped up and focused on playing. There are no outside distractions. Wow, look at that Christmas tree. I mean, come on, that is beautiful. Oh, and the flowers, they just do an incredible job here, Jesus. Oh, and the horses, that is stunning. Okay, stop it, back to poker. The second 10-20 game breaks as soon as I get into the room, and I can't beat any of the superstars in the remaining one, so we'll be jumping into the 5-10 must move. I buy in for 1,500, which is the max. It's only 5-handed at the moment, not exactly my specialty. Early on, we look down at King 6 suited in the big blind. Small blind raises to 30. We're getting 2-1 in position. I call, it's heads up. The flop comes 6-5 deuce with 2 diamonds. We have top pair. Small blind fires for 50. It's certainly on the larger side, but I don't see how we fold here. I call knowing there are very few good cards that I'll be seeing on future streets. The turn is the 4 of spades. Any 3 makes a straight. This appears to worry the small blind. He checks. We have a hand with a decent amount of showdown value. No need to bet as a bluff. I check back. The river is the king of hearts, probably the best card that I could hit. We have an extremely hidden and very unlikely top 2 pair. I'm feeling good until the small blind makes a very large bet at 250. It's about 1.5 times the size of the pot. Once I check back turn, it's pretty clear to the small blind that I won't have a straight. I'm not sure what he's repping after checking the turn either. I'll typically have to fold to a bet this size almost no matter what, so it's a great sizing for when he's bluffing. Unlucky for him that I drilled 2 pair on the river, and I'm at the very top of my range after checking on the previous street. I'm not letting it go this time. I call. Yeah, and we're no good. The opponent has ace-3 offsuit. He flopped a gutter with a backdoor flush draw, then got one of the best runouts possible to cause me maximum pain. Right away I'm in the hole. I add on for 400. At this point I wish I stayed asleep. My parents always told me that nothing good ever happens after midnight. Next I've got 5-4 hearts on the button. The cutoff raises to 30. This is the dude who got me in the previous hand. Let's go ahead and take a look at what upswing says you should do with 5-4 suited in this situation. Okay. It says that we should be folding or raising from the button when the cutoff opens. These pre-flop charts are good and they're helpful, but they're not perfect. They don't account for every component. For instance, in this hand, we're out for revenge, which is not factored into upswing's charts at all. You can make the argument that you're supposed to 3-bet with it when you want revenge. Sure, but it still leaves out a lot of other hands you should be playing. I'm taking it upon myself to make my own chart when you're getting at least 1-1 against someone who deserves punishment. Everything in yellow is a hand that you'll be minimally calling with. It's a very wide range. In fact, the only hand that we fold is 5 deuce offsuit. Turns out that it just doesn't play that well. Now you might be thinking, why do we play 4 deuce offsuit then? And that's a good question, but the problems we have with 4 deuce and 3 deuce are offset by how much more enjoyable it is to get revenge and win with a hand that sucks that badly. This is all stuff that's corroborated by solvers. Anyway, I call, the small blind calls, the big blind also calls. We go 4 ways to the flop in position. It comes ace-10-4 with 2 hearts. We have bottom pair with a flush draw and backdoor straight draw. Checks to me, I bet 70. I'm happy to take down the pot now or make it bigger in case I win. Small blind and big blind fold. The nemesis and the cutoff calls. We're down to heads up. The turn is the 9 of spades. The cutoff checks. I slow down and check back to make sure that I can see the river. The dealer puts out the king of hearts. We make the baby flush. The cutoff checks. I'm not sure what type of hand he's going to be showing up with. Could be either a 10 of some sort or maybe a weak ace. All I know is he has too many Bradley dollars and I want to get as many back as possible. I bet 200 for value. The player considers his options for a while, then lays it down. I would have preferred a call. Perhaps I should have bet smaller. At least we win and we aren't stuck too much. Later we pick up ace-10 offsuit in the small blind. I raise to 30. The big blind calls. He seems a little annoyed at me because I've been aggressively fighting for small pots and taking them down without much resistance. We're heads up. The flop is 10-8 deuce rainbow. We've got top pair, top kicker. I bet 30 for value and for protection. We don't want to see kings, queens, or jacks on future streets. The big blind has had enough of me trying to steal pots. Or, you know, maybe he has the nuts. He min raises to 60. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I folded for that amount. I call for 30 more. The turn is a 6, so 9-7 makes a straight. I check to the raiser. He's not giving up. He bets 90. That's an amount that I'm not going to be folding for either. This hand is weird, and I don't really know what's going on. The river is a queen. It's one of those cards that I told you we didn't want to see. Jack 9 makes a straight. Queen Jack and Queen 10 beat us as well. I check. I wouldn't mind seeing a check back. Nope. The big blind bets 150. It's another small bet that I won't be able to fold to. Generally, you don't want to be calling other people's bets that often, especially on the river. It's a bad habit that I've been doing too much lately. I call. This time it pays off. The big blind mucks without showing. No idea what he had. His chips become the newest Bradley dollars on the market. We're unstuck. Here we've got pocket 8s on the button. I raised to 30. The small blind calls. The big blind calls as well. We go 3 ways to the flop. It's Jack 9-6 rainbow. Checks to me. Not a lot going on for us. We have third pair with a backdoor straight draw. That's it. We do have some showdown value. I check. The turn is the 8 of diamonds. We finally make our first set on a vlog since Florida, which was 5 videos ago. Recently, I've been missing every board when I start with pocket pairs pre-flop. This feels good. There's nothing quite like having a secret 3 of a kind. Literally, at the moment that the card comes out, a vlog watcher comes over from another table to say hi.
Thanks a lot, man.
He's my set genie. Small blind checks. The big blind bets 40. I probably have the best hand, and there are lots of bad rivers for me. I raised to 130. Small blind doesn't want to stick around. He folds. The big blind probably thinks this is a super weird line that I've taken. He doesn't have the goods though. He folds as well. The chips are pushing in our direction. We bounce back nicely after the first hand. We're up almost 300. In this one, we're dealt pocket 4s on the button. Under the gun opens at 30. We're still 5-handed, so under the gun is the same as the hijack. The cutoff calls. I'm happy to join in as well. I call. We go 3 ways to the flop. I'm not kidding you. I look up and see my set genie walking around. Then the flop comes Jack 5-4 with 2 clubs. The genie is struck again. Unfortunately, the pre-flop raiser checks. Cutoff checks as well. There are lots of draws out there. We're not checking back. I bet 50, expecting to take it down pretty often without any resistance. Surprisingly, under the gun throws in a $200 check raise. The cutoff folds. The action's back on me. Strange situation. The opponent could have an overpair, a big draw, set, or maybe he's making a move with something like 8-7 of spades. Part of me wants to flat in order to let the player hang himself. The problem with that is the amount of cards that I won't want to see. I obviously don't want more clubs, and any ace, deuce, 3, 6, 7, or 8 will make straights possible. Overcards could be bad for me or kill action by making the opponent less confident about his hand. It's best to try and get as much money in now as I can. I re-raised to 550. The player's looking at both of our stacks. We started fairly deep. He has about 1,800 total. I have him covered. If he shoves, I'm going to be snap calling. Almost a full minute goes by, then the player folds pocket queens face up, makes a great laydown. I'm a bit surprised he went with a check raise rather than betting flop to begin with, but he gets away from it without getting hurt too badly. We're up close to 600 when a few players are away from the table, and there's some openings in the main game. Our game breaks. I take my seat at the new table where there are more players. We agree to do a $40 bomb pot in which the winner will pay the $7 time fee for every player. I'm in the cutoff and look down at ace king. It's great normally. It's tougher to win with it when you're not able to weed out players by raising pre-flop. 6 of us see the flop. It's 7-7-3 with 2 spades. We've got 2 overs and a backdoor flush draw. The opponent's check to me. Checking is reasonable. Instead, I bet 100 because I may have the best hand since 4 out of my 5 opponents have decided not to bet themselves. And if I'm up against any hand that's worse than trips, I'll probably have 6 outs plus the backdoor flush draw. The button folds immediately. The small blind calls. He's the one that bluffed me at the previous table when I called him down with ace 10. The remaining players all fold. It's heads up. The turn is the 9 of diamonds. The small blind checks. I noticed that he sometimes plays tricky with big hands, and I could be winning if he has a flush draw. I check back. The river is the jack of spades. The flush draw gets there. I don't beat anything. The small blind checks. I check back. He has pocket 8s for the victory. Not a large hand, but I'm including it because there aren't too many losing hands from this session, and I have to balance my range. Losing makes me hungry, so I go to one of the only places that's open at this hour, McDonald's.
Okay, sorry about that. What can I get for you?
Could I please get 2 McJiggities?
Sorry, what?
They're served hot. I have them right at the table in the small blind. Under the gun opens to 40. Cutoff calls. I flat because the under the gun player has been limping pretty regularly, so when he opens from anywhere, it sets off alarm bells, but particularly when he's in early position. 3 of us are still in it. The flop comes ace 8-4 with 2 spades. Not great for us or anyone else, it appears. We all check. The turn is obviously the jack of clubs. What else would it be? We make our third set. This is where the hand starts to get weird. I'm first to act and I bet 80. At the same time I'm doing this, the cutoff thinks it's on him and bets 25. Under the gun folds. Now there's some confusion on whether the cutoff is allowed to take his chips back or not. Technically, he's not supposed to, but it's a strange situation, and $25 isn't very much anyway.
If you didn't see the bet, then just act like, do whatever you want, I guess.
Instead of getting the floor involved, the opponent makes the call for the full 80. The river is the 10 of hearts, king, queen, and 9-7 make straights. Not a whole lot to worry about overall. I bet 130 to milk some chips out of the cutoff. He tanks for a full minute. He's thinking about calling me light. He's a vlog watcher named Henry. Ultimately, he shows a jack and lets his cards go.
Good fold then. That was a weird one.
Here we have king, queen suited under the gun. I raised to 30. The cutoff calls. He tried to bluff me in the ace-10 hand earlier. We're heads up. Flop comes 10-6-4 with 2 clubs. We have a flush draw with 2 overs and a backdoor straight draw. Typically, I continue to bet with strong draws as the pre-flop raiser. I check this time to mix it up. The cutoff checks back. The turn is the jack of spades. We pick up an open ender. I bet 50 and the opponent snap calls before I even announce the bet.
50?
I'm at least a little concerned that the player can read my mind after that. It's rare for me to get called before I announce a bet or put out chips. The river is the king of hearts. We miss all the draws, but we make top pair. I bet 100 for value. Maybe I can get called if he has a pair of jacks or 10s. I don't get the impression he's very strong, mostly because he takes out a black chip to hand to me because he knows he's not going to win. I love to see it.
You giving it to me?
Yeah.
All right.
In my head, I for sure have the winner, and he turns over the same hand as me. This is bullshit.
King, queen. What? Give it back. Give it back.
At least I didn't lose. Still, it's tough to get slow rolled in a chopped pot, harder than that. A few orbits later, we have pocket 4s on the button. We had a set with him earlier. Maybe we can make another one. I raised to 30. Small blind calls. He's a new player at the table. We're heads up. Flop comes ace-5-3. It's tough to make a set every time, and we obviously don't make one here. We actually make quads. The real flop is ace-4-4. I'm hitting tons of huge hands this session. Poker's lots of fun today. Small blind checks. The board isn't that connected. I don't want to scare off the opponent by betting in case he doesn't have an ace. I check back. The turn is the king of hearts. At least there's some more draws out there. It gets better because the opponent bets 50. Out of respect, take a moment of silence for the opponent since he's drawing dead. This is also a good time for you to hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you do, I'll tell you what happens next. That was very cool of you. Thanks a lot. Okay, I raised a 130. Please don't fold, dude. He doesn't. He makes the call. I hope that he gets whatever he needs, whether it's a heart or some other big card. The river is the 8 of clubs. No draws get there. Not ideal. The small blind checks. It's very unlikely that my opponent will be able to call a bet of any sort. I put out 340. Hoping that the dude will have an ace and he'll think I'm trying to get him off a chop, or perhaps he'll think that I'm bluffing with a hand like Jack 10 of hearts. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. I'm not bluffing. I haven't. Small blind thinks just long enough for it to appear like he has a real decision before folding.
Pre-flop quads on that one.
That's fun. I'm excited. The table's excited. I'm running good. Next we're dealt 9-7 suited on the button. The cutoff opens to 40. I have a hand that seems fun to play. I call when I can 3-bet and give myself a chance to win immediately. I raised to 130. Cutoff should have a lot of weak holdings in this range that he won't want to play out of position in an inflated pot against me. Even if he calls, I still have plenty of playability. He ends up folding. Doing squirrely things like that pre-flop can sometimes lose you money, but when your opponents know you're capable of 3 or 4 betting light, it really helps to add value to your premium hands down the road, like when you have aces. I'm under the gun +1. I raised to 30. The player on my left calls. The button calls as well. Small blind is the dude who tried to bluff me earlier. Mine read my bet and slow rolled me in a chopped pot. He's thinking about doing something crazy. He 3-bets to 90. It's a tiny, tiny sizing, especially considering there are 2 callers before him and he's out of position. Initially, the small blind was stuck and playing crazy. Now he's running up the largest stack at the table and is playing much more conservatively. Maybe he has something like kings or ace-king that he can call a 4-bet with, or potentially he'll even 5-bet. I'm certainly not flatting, giving the players behind me great odds to also call. I raised to 350. Might seem on the larger side, but it's not really when you consider how much money's already in the middle. I also want to build up this pot as much as possible while I know I have the best hand. Middle position player folds, the button gets out of there, the action's on the small blind again. I wish he'd seen my 9-7 suited 3-bet, or perhaps was playing like he was when he was stuck. He doesn't seem to want to get involved since I've shown a lot of strength and we're both really deep. He folds queens face up.
It's hard to call if you're gonna show. Nice hand, man.
I know what's up, man. Come on, man.
My soul gets owned. It hurts not to get paid more there and in some of the previous hands, but we're up a nice chunk of money for a session that I only played because I happened to wake up in the middle of the night. Small blind picks up a few minutes later, and it's time for me to rack up as well. It's 5 a.m. The session just ended. Played for 3 hours. I won $850, but it feels like I should have won more, man. I went on a never-ending run of sets. I made quads. I had trips a couple times in hands that won't even make the vlog. There were just so many huge hands that I hit. I don't think that I've ever really run that good in that short a period of time. So that was awesome. Hopefully it'll make for a good episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. That's it for this one. I've been really enjoying putting the vlogs together lately, so I'm gonna be playing more and putting out more videos this year. At least that's the plan. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons because it helps out the channel a ton. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comments section. All right, good luck guys in 2021. I hope this is a much, much better year, and stay safe. I'll see you next time.
Okay, sorry about that. What can I get for you?
Could I please get 2 McJiggities?
I'm sorry, what?
Is there a McChicken?
Yeah.
So I'll get 2 McChickens with cheese
Okay.
and a cup of water, please.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, 217, thanks. Or 325.
All right, thank you.